Being here early this morning, and welcome to the closing plenary. My name is Sarah, and I'm here representing the Insight Subcommittee. What a week this has been. Oh my gosh, raise your hand if you're a little tired, a little overwhelmed, and a little energized. We've spent the past several days surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds in social and behavior change communication, hearing ideas that have challenged us and having conversations that are probably still turning over in our head a little bit. If part of you is looking forward to quietly sitting on the plane on the way home, I feel you. Processing is part of our work, and we're going to start that right now. I want to acknowledge the journey that has brought us here. Not just this week, but the road to this week. So as a reminder, the International SBCC Summit has been to Ethiopia. We have no Ethiopians in here. Indonesia, Morocco, and now we're in beautiful Panama. Each of those places left something with us, We've tackled challenges, both big and small, and celebrated successes, big and small. The history is what brings us into this room today. It shapes the lens through which we see our work and our world. This week, you all gave freely of your ideas. You sat in sessions and mulled over exciting and uncomfortable ideas with people you had just met. You didn't hold back. And we want to say thank you, genuinely, because none of what we're about to share with you would exist without that generosity. So the Insights Committee had the best job here. We spent the week listening to you all. Our job was to gather insights. You've probably heard that word more this week than you ever have in your life. And we listened to as many voices as we possibly could. And today we're here to share with you the themes that have risen up, not just from one person, but from all of us as a collective voice. Before we share what we found, I'd like to put a definition on the screen because the word insight gets used a lot, and we want to be precise about what we mean by it here. An insight is a fresh way of seeing the world, one that makes you stop, rethink, and question the way things have always been done. It's not a data point or a solution. It's that moment of clarity that opens up a new way of thinking. With that in mind, we're pleased to share 4 overarching insights that have emerged from this week. These are themes that we believe represent something real and something shared across this community. Now, this isn't the final word. This is just a starting point. You'll have a chance today in this session to validate what we're sharing. We want you to tell us if we've got it right and where we don't have it right and can do better. And you'll also have an opportunity throughout the day to continue to share your insights before we publish these and send them out to our community after the summit. So let's get into it and let's hear what we've heard together. I'd like to welcome my colleagues over here to my left who have generously offered to reflect on each of our themes. Irfan, Sarah, Lena, and Impo are going to walk us through one site each and share what we have learned through their own voices. So Irfan, I will turn it to you. We're going to turn the microphone on.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. And from my part of the world, selamat pagi, which also means good morning in Bahasa Indonesia. So the first one that we would like to talk about is trust communities to know what works for them. I came to Panama as a foreigner and also as a first-timer. And from the moment I landed, I made one small decision over and over again. I stopped trusting my guidebook and I started to trust the people who lived here on what to eat, where not to go, and what was actually good. And every time I followed the suggestions, they were right instead of following the map. because they knew their place better than any guidebook ever could. Maybe this example is a small thing, food, for example, but it taught me something I really want to carry into the real work. The people closest to a place understand in ways that an outsider simply cannot. Not won't, cannot. So that's the insight. Trust communities to know what works for them. But let me also be honest about what trust costs. It's not always a warm feeling because trust takes sustained time and energy, and it has to be paired with strong system and real partnership, or it doesn't hold. And after this, you will hear other powerful insights in this morning. And what I keep noticing is trust is something that ties them together. So it's not one more idea on the list, it's what makes the rest of them possible. So if I've learned anything this week, even from just following someone to the right plate of food, it's the humility to trust that other people know their own lives. That's where it starts. Trust communities to know what works for them. Thank you.
Sarah, over to you. Good morning again. I'm another Sarah from the Insights team. And the insight I'm going to speak about is something we were reminded about at the very beginning on Monday, where the Dean of Johns Hopkins School of Public Health invited us to think of disruption not just as trauma or as something difficult, but as an opportunity. And something that we've heard again and again as we've been listening to people is not just that it's an opportunity, but what kind of opportunities we are seeing with each other. And we've heard a lot about reinvention, reconnection, listening to new voices, exploring different sciences, different ways of thinking, hearing youth speaking to indigenous cultures, considering different epistemologies in the work that we do. But also within that disruption, there's been a call that we've heard to come together to celebrate what we have, that it's not a rebuilding from nothing, that there is depth, there are connections, there are important lessons that we have, there's wisdom that is in this room and that is being shared. And so within that disruption, it's not just to say, let's crush everything down and start again. But what we've been hearing from people is, let's be more generous. We have lessons, but maybe we need to be better about pulling those together, sharing our resources, thinking about efficiencies in ways maybe we didn't before. And that's the kind of opening of connections, the generosity, the humilities that we have been hearing that are the opportunities. So we had the idea of recreation or invention opportunity sort of as a concept, but as a listening and insights group, what we really are hearing are more practical ways that people are beginning to think through how does that look? And so I think my big carry away as someone who sits in an academic environment but also works very deeply with practitioners and spends a lot of time listening is again the coming together of wisdoms, practices, really the credibility that we bring from an evidence-based practice, but also this is an invitation for us to open up our minds of whose evidence counts, who we can be listening to and should be listening to, and an invitation as we reflect to pull together and not lose sight of the change it is that we're seeking to see. So in all of this, we are a field that really at the core believes in change, individual change, but also social change. And so that really, in this disruption, the conversations have been centered on how do we maintain and support those change processes that are core and central to us as a field. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And I'll hand it over to Lena next. who will be speaking in Spanish, so if you have your headphones.
Muy buenos días a todos. ¿Me escuchan?
Buen día.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Buenos días.
Bueno, la reflexión que ha dado resultado hasta el momento menciona que lo que nos da fuerza son las relaciones y la comunidad. Y cuando pensamos en qué sostiene la comunicación para el cambio social y de comportamiento, normalmente pensamos en estrategias, formularios, metodología, financiamiento que nos hace falta, tecnología y todo esto, que es súper importante. Pero después de pasar toda esta semana escuchando todas estas voces, estas experiencias y conocimientos, queda un mensaje claro. Realmente lo que nos sostiene son las relaciones y el hecho de trabajar en comunidad. La confianza y la gentileza y la escucha a las diversas opiniones, experiencias basadas en contexto es lo que realmente enriquece y le da sentido a la comunidad de SBCC. Entonces, esto lo que invita a reflexionar es que si nosotros esperamos de la comunidad que tenga confianza en nosotros, primero tenemos que tener confianza, primero yo como individuo, confianza en mi equipo, confianza en mi institución y confianza con todos los aliados. Si pedimos que la comunidad te escuche o el contexto en el que estoy laborando escuche, yo tengo que estar abierto a escuchar las diferentes opiniones, experiencias, como mencionó la colega anteriormente, de los otros países y de otras áreas de nuestro país inclusive. Y eso nos ayuda a no solamente a que el cambio ocurra o el cambio se sostenga posterior a que finalice un proyecto. ¿Por qué? Porque se crea ese, no sé cómo decirlo, ese sentido de familia o ese sentido de comunidad, de que no estoy trabajando desde fuera, yo formo parte y tengo empatía y siento igual lo que está sintiendo la comunidad. Y esto es como el ser y la vocación que tenemos, el hecho de trabajar en esto. También se reflexionó mucho de que muchos de los intercambios o relaciones que se dieron, más que en paneles como este, se dieron en el pasillo, los vimos en los pósters, los vimos en el espacio de networking, que tuve el honor de participar en los tres. A pesar de que no era de Asia y de África, yo siento que no deberíamos vernos como frontera, sino que al final, siempre digo, después de que pasas 24 horas en Panamá, todos son panameños. Así que creo que así es como debemos ver la comunidad y así es como debemos ver este punto. Y ya como para finalizar, las relaciones son los que nos permiten que ese conocimiento, experiencias y saberes se extienda mucho más allá, que sea basado en evidencia, en la acción. Y que creo que lo que nos debemos llevar de este summit es que debemos fortalecer nuestras relaciones como equipo. Y esas relaciones nos van a hacer que trabajemos todos en un punto en común, que es al final ayudar a nuestros hermanos, porque al final son hermanos y hermanas de nosotros, a que salgan de las problemáticas sociales que vivimos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Lena. And finally, we will pass it over to our birthday girl. Happy birthday, Mpo. Mpo, over to you.
Dumelang. Dumelang means good morning in my country, Botswana. So my name is Mpho Mthufela, like I said, and it's my birthday. I'm excited. I am a radio presenter back in my country. They say I'm empowering the youth, but I don't like to say I empower the youth. We already have the power. It's just unlocking it and unlocking the potential. So storytelling doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be polished. What it needs to be is authentic, real. I want to hear a story where I can recognize my struggles, my fear, and my dreams. That's the story that will stick. I don't need a story where now it is polished if it sounds like fiction. I need something that I can relate to as a young person and say, okay, I see my struggles there. I feel my fears. I see my challenges. That's the story that will stick. So the important thing about storytelling is listening to the locals and indigenous communicators and make them our models. Listening is a very, very important. I know as a radio presenter, we think talking a lot is the thing because I'm getting paid to talk. But the important thing is to listen and make sure that the stories that you hear, you can share them in a way that are so authentic. Because real change starts with an authentic story that can resonate with a young person.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
I think our presenters have done amazingly well. Can we give them a round of applause? And I think the next round of applause is to you who have given this insight. So please do that. Yeah, so at this point, this will be interactive. We want to hear you talk and validate what our presenters have talked about. So if you think, oh, this is not what I thought about, this is not how I would have framed my insights, this is an opportunity for you to speak. So now you bring out your phones. There will be a QR code out here now, right? Is it coming up? So scan the QR code. Tell us what you think is missing in what our presenters have talked about. Okay. We are getting responses. Nobody has responded yet. Oh, great. We have one. Collaboration is stronger than ever. Let's keep them coming. Let's keep them coming. Great. Youth voices. Collaboration. The word trust is missing. Oh, great. Someone says nothing is missing. Connection. Okay. People with disabilities. All right. Oh, that is missing. Communication. Collaboration is key to our success. Listening to each other. SBC must move upstream to affect systems. Reach is good, but what is important is the use of the finding. That's great. Connection needs to be contextualized. How do we celebrate and lift each other up? Trust building is the cornerstone of change. These are amazing insights coming up from you. And so you know these are also documented. They will be coming up in our, right? Cultural connections are key for impact. Even digital tools need human insight and oversight, yes, to be effective. Thank you all for all these insights. We can keep them coming. They are being documented as you keep them coming. Yes. Yes, let's keep them coming. Systems thinking. Acknowledging collective grief, yes. AI as a tool to amplify SBCC. Story authenticity, right, cannot be overemphasized. Lack of funding, no one should be left behind as we continue taking AI forward. Inclusion and equity. Collaboration. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And as a follow-up to that, we also want to know, using the same code, Yes, we also want to know how you're taking this forward. So as an SBCC field, what do we take forward from here? We'd like to know that as well. How are you going to apply this in your work? Let's keep that coming as well. Evidence building, that's great. Remain connected. Greater emphasis on listening and trust building. We're going to leverage AI for better SBCC interventions, training students. SBCC is important in climate change conversation. Collaboration, I think collaboration is another new word. Relationship building. Partner together with new partners. From summit to action, yes. We have to build networks, create spaces and listen. More BC in wildlife conservation. Probably we need more explanation on that. Reflection is good after implantation. Okay. SBC Beyond Health, adaptation, collaborate and catalyze the movement, sharing learnings, and all of that. Integrating evidence building and learning more intentionally. Great. More South-South collaborations. Oh, we know south of where? Seeing outside of the box, application of AI, deepen connection and trust building, coordination among stakeholders, which minimize duplication, bring governments to the table, okay. Share learning across our organization with partners, that is coming out strongly, partnerships, collaborations, social marketing principles, the use of AI. Don't forget to hold the hold as we invent the new. All right. Digitalization, contextualize what is learned and implement. We need to be the voices in the room, making sure that we are driving those AI policies forward, engage in partnerships. Please keep them coming. We are taking records of them. And as we all know as well, yeah, that there are other sessions coming up. Please do make use of the app to document your insights. And they would come in a correspondence that we'll be having later on. So keep them coming. And thank you so much for participating. A round of applause for yourselves. And to our presenters as well. I think they've done wonderfully well, right? A round of applause for them.
Good morning. I'm Emmanuel Kayongo.
And I'm Lisa Hilmy, and we're representing the Insights Committee also. And we're going to be wrapping it together for a call to action. But first, we have another question.
Our friends, our colleagues and champions of social and behavior change communication from every time zone and community, thank you. Over these days, we've listened, learned, challenged one another, and sharpened our tools. We leave here richer in ideas, braver in imagination, and clearer in purpose. Now the most important work begins, turning insight into action. We came together under the theme, the power of connection, reimagining knowledge, action, and equity in a changing SBC landscape. That theme is a charge to reconnect how we create knowledge, how we move from learning to doing, and how we cultivate equity at every step. Connection means centering relationships between practitioners and communities, Let the theme guide our commitments, build bridges that keep knowledge flowing, design actions that are co-owned, and shape equitable systems that let everyone participate and benefit. First, we ask each of you to look inward. What is your personal commitment to the SBCC sector? How will you give back? Will you pledge to listen more deeply to the communities you serve, to center equity in every conversation, to translate data into stories that move hearts and minds, to mentor one colleague, or to push for evidence-informed risk communication in your next project? Make it specific. Name one action. That action that you'll take in the next 30 days that embodies the learning you've gained here. Write it down. Hold yourself accountable. Your personal commitment is a spark that lights the collective change. Your single action, small, intentional, and sustained, creates ripple effects that become sector-wide change. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So personal commitment, but we also want to call on every organization here, whether you're an NGO, a UN organization, academia, governments, donors, to convert the inspiration you feel right now that you've been feeling all week, convert that inspiration now into institutional commitment. Commit to at least one concrete change, inspired by the summit, the people you met, the things you've learned, and based on all of these insights that are collected. Make that commitment public within your organization and your peers. Set some milestones, designate champions, and report back on the progress. Think small when needed, but also be bold where it's possible. Collective accountability amongst all of us creates that momentum for the sector. It's time to translate this evolution of the SBCC sector into action so that we can collaboratively, all together, move forward. We know that the work is challenging, resources are limited, misinformation is rampant and loud sometimes, and systems, they resist change. But we also know that SBCC processes, they work when we combine the empathy with the evidence, when we design with dignity, and communication with partnership. Every small personal action and organizational action, it's meaningful. So before we leave, let's commit now. Let's make that pledge, that personal and organizational commitment, and let the SBCC Summit be a beginning, a movement of all of our promises kept, our actions tracked, and the communities we serve empowered. So go home accountable, go home courageous, and go home and give back to the SBCC community and the sector by turning what you learned into what you do. Together, let's make the commitments visible, let's make them measurable and relentless. The transformation will happen when our connections turn into commitments, into shared action, and our intentions are equity for all. Are you ready to get to work?
Yes.
Are you ready to commit?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to again thank our incredible Insight Committee and our incredible representatives that shared our insights, Sarah and Emmanuel and the entire, and Femi, all of our Insights Committee. There's still a little bit more action and learning and connection this morning. So first of all, tea and coffee will be in the exhibition hall, and it will be some of your last chance to get some of these delicious treats and food they've been giving us all week. There are going to be a couple more amazing sessions that people worked really hard to prepare for this. So let's make sure we honor their commitment and learn a little bit more into our brains and hearts before we go out. Summon that energy, right? And then at 12:15 is going to be the culmination of it all. It will be our final closing ceremony and an incredible cultural presentation. So I know you might think, I want to catch that nature center. I want to do a little shopping, but not yet, people, not yet. You still have to stay, and collectively we're going to pull this together. All right, are you here with us? Are we staying? Do we commit? Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the morning, and we'll see you back here. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Cumpleaños feliz, te deseamos a ti, que lo sigas cumpliendo hasta el año 10,000.
Y en esta noche de lunas te traigo para ti, mi amada.
Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David. Hoy por ser tu cumpleaños te las cantamos a ti. Despierta, mi bien, despierta. Mira que ya amaneció, ya los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió. Qué linda está la mañana, hoy que vengo a saludarte. Venimos todos con gusto y placer a felicitarte. El día que tú naciste, nacieron todas las flores. Y en la pila del bautismo cantaron los ruiseñores. Ya viene amaneciendo, ya la luz del día